Welcome to another video from the ginger beard of knowledge, and we're going to take a look at the 5 best moves of maybe the hottest player around at the moment, Alireza Firouzja, currently of Iran or FIDE, probably moving over to France. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and please do decide which of the following 5 example is your favorite move. Cheers. In his first example, the Alireza shows signs of a Kasparov flowing through his blood. And he plays in this position. And remember, do pause along with some of these ideas. See if you can find the moves. All the examples in this YouTube video are with the Razor with the white pieces. Rook takes b7. And this is an amazing sacrifice. And you may remember that game I showed you, or that tactic I showed you in a previous YouTube video, where Kasparov did a similar move against Shirov to take over the d5 square. So that's why this has shades of Kasparov. The point being, after knight takes e5, the bishop becomes a deadly piece, and after d5, trying to close things down, we have the second unbelievably beautiful idea. Knight takes d5. Point being, pawn takes, the knight comes to f5, and even though white is a whole rook down, white has this fantastic knight and devastating bishop, which is going to come into the position. This is combined with factors like an advanced e-pawn and a queen very actively placed. White is doing extremely well here. Black tried to run away with the king, but white now brought his bishop into the attack. Bishop c5 played, and a lot of players with the white pieces here might just bring the bishop into b7, getting back some material, but not Alireza. He plays b4, continuing to come forwards, and this is a sign of pure aggression. If the bishop is taken, queen g4 attacks g7 and attacks that bishop. So the bishop retreats, the queen comes in anyway. Only one way to stop checkmate on g7, and that is by playing g6. And we have another forwards move. Can you see the next blow? Aggression, aggression, aggression is what needed here. Pawn to e6. And this allows the rook to come in. Every move is just fire on the board. Shirov would indeed be proud. Queen to f6 was played in the game. Let's just have a look what happens if black decides to take this pawn. Rook takes e6 is devastating. The tactical idea after something like queen takes d5 should be quite easy for you to see. Remember, pause along if you need to. Rook takes g6 and it's devastating. You can work this out yourselves. The game ended very quickly after queen f6, e7, rook to e8, and now the last blow, another tactic on tactic. Bishop takes f7 check. If queen takes f7, knight h6 picks up the queen in what we call a forking good time going on there. And if king takes f7, queen to c4 would lead to checkmate. So quite an in-depth tactical sequence there, but let's move on to the second tactical idea, best move that I've picked from Alireza Firouzja's top games. The second example is beautiful because it may look like in this position a white play that white can't really escape with his knight. The knight will just be chased around by black's rook, but with his next move, Alireza comes up with a simply astonishing and very deep concept. And this is against a strong Russian player, Danil Zhubov. He plays pawn takes d6. Now this may not look astonishing, but the foresight behind this move is what makes it so special. Black obviously takes the knight, and now the next move, which really glues in the whole idea, rook to e1. And this rook is coming into the position, and even though black is a piece up, or has a piece with 3 pawns, black cannot move. The rook is tied down to the bishop. If the bishop moves anywhere, it will be chased by the white rook, and white's pawns on d6 and a5 just do a job of containing black's pieces. The game continued. King to f8, rook to e7. The rook finds a good square. Rook to d8. Black tries to get rid of one of these pawns, but now a6. Black does get rid of one of these pawns, but the a7 pawns completely paralyzes black's position, and bizarrely black is completely lost here. He plays rook to d8. You have to stop that pawn. Had rook a6 been played, the winning idea is similar to in the game. First, rook to c7, and again, it's that paralysis that we see here. What can black play, or should I say not play? Look at all of black's pieces and work out very deep. This rook has to stay on the a file, which doesn't really help. The bishop can't move anywhere, because if it does, white can play check, we'll see this later on, and queen the pawn. The black king can only move to these two squares, and the pawns on h7 and g6 can't do anything. So white's winning plan will be to slowly bring his king into the game and just win with that king. There's nothing black can do. In the game, black tried rook to d8, but after rook b7, we still see this paralysis. Bishop c6, rook c7, the bishop has to retreat. Black is waiting for his impending doom. And now the king simply comes. There's nothing black can do in the position. And with rook b8 being a serious threat here, black tries to defend an ending, which he must realize is clearly lost as white goes the exchange up. So again, a very deep tactic there. We're starting with some very tough ones just to get you into the mood of this potentially future world champion. On to example number 3. This next tactic is quite simple in nature, but that is kind of its beauty. It looks in this position like black is in no danger, but after white's next 2 moves, it's clear black is in serious danger. This is a tactic I'm sure most of you out there will be able to find. Pause if you need to. Think about how you can weave a little net around that black king. Rook to d8 first. Check. Okay, pretty normal. But after king f7, what's the idea? Bishop c5. And rook to f8 cannot easily be stopped. Combined with tacticalizer g6, black now has to lose material. So a simple tactic, yet effective. The game continued rook e7, but now white wins the exchange. He first plays g6 check, and the king has to keep defending the rook, but the following ending ends up being losing for black, and white wins quite efficiently. On to tactic number 4. This 4th example is pure violence. White has a lot of pieces attacking, but can you see how he broke through defense? And maybe it's not the first move, that the second move, or even the third move, which is really important in this attack. Rook takes h7, just destroying defenses around the black king. This has to be taken, and the point is, after check king g7, white can play the quiet yet deadly queen to h4, threatening infiltration on either h7 or h8 with checkmate. This is a winning attack. The game ended with black trying to run away with the king, but now, and again, see if you can finish this game off in the best way. It's still very easy to mess these positions up. So can you guess the razor's moves? Queen to h8 check, and here bishop takes f7, and black is still a piece up, but the point being rook to h7, and white's remaining pieces are deadly and effective. Queen to e6, but now the g7 square is free, and after king to e8 there's one last deadly and beautiful tactical idea. Remember, look out for the checks. Can you see it? Can you? Knight d6 check, and this diverts the black queen away from either the f7 square or the knight, and the knight was captured. If the king tries to move, queen c7 is checkmate, but it's no better after queen takes d6, because now white plays queen f7 check first, and the point being that queen to g8 on the next move will be mate, because black cannot block. A lovely tactic and very sharp and crisp, bringing us to our last brilliant. This last example has a lovely point to it. It's white to play, and white is clearly winning. Knight takes e8 would be strong, but there's an even stronger move. Always look for a better move than the obvious, and can you see it here? And there's a nice little tactic. Can you see it? Can you see it? Bishop takes h6 check, and this is a lovely, sweet tactic that forces checkmate. If king takes knight, queen to h4, and next move we will deliver checkmate. The black king has nowhere to run, and the main variation goes rook takes h6, and now we can dive our knight in and give a lovely little check. King to h7 is the only way to defend the rook. Now the knight comes back to f6, another little check. King to g7, draw? No, thank you. Now what would you play here? This is one of those positions where you just, do you go for a queen to put on the board? No, you go for a knight. Oh, knight check. And next move, queen takes rook, will be checkmate. Astonishing tactics there. And that brings us to the end of my 5 most amazing move of Alireza Firouzja. He's still got a lot of time to play some more amazing moves. Do you think he'll be a future world champion? He's going to be one of the favourites, that's for sure. A contender for Magnus's throne. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and do leave below in the comments what your favourite tactic there was. Goodbye for now.
Have a little look at these videos.